Welcome to this video tutorial. I aim to provide a little bit of an introduction to evaluating research methods in order for you to gain the higher marks in those exam questions. According to the specification, students should be able to analyse and evaluate sociological theories, concepts, evidence and research methods in order to present arguments, judgments and draw conclusions. But specifically in this one, we're going to focus on the evaluate the research methods part and look at how you're going to maximise your marks. You may get an exam question asking you to evaluate the advantages or disadvantages of a method, just like the example here that was on paper 3 in 2018, where you were asked to evaluate the advantages of structured interviews in sociological research. So let's assume that you will get something similar on official statistics. So how would you go about answering this style of question? So breaking down the question, you need to ensure that you demonstrate a range of advantages or strengths and why sociologists might use it, what's the benefit of this method. Give examples of studies that might have used them, so you're hitting the sociological research part of the question. And finally, focusing on the main trigger word, evaluate these advantages. So here's some top tips for you to consider. So aim to evaluate as you go along rather than bolting on the advantages at the end. So if you just do an opposing paragraph highlighting the disadvantages, this will be classed as juxtaposition and you'll probably find you're going to maximise your marks at about 12. So try and be specific, and any point that you have made, make your evaluation link. So let's consider we've identified 4 main strengths. And how would we evaluate these specifically as we go along to avoid juxtaposition? So let's have a look at the first one. So let's assume that our first advantage is that they are a free source of data that is collected by the state, and this data can include the birth rate or death rate. I've mentioned surveys. Now I know surveys like the census is a collection of questions, so it's usually a questionnaire, but the results of a census are often presented on government websites as statistics. So I suppose you could refer to those as an example. Now our main evaluation point for this would be, well, it's not what the sociologist is interested in. And we might explain it by saying that the government collects data such as birth rate or death rate for administration purposes. We need to know the population size, for example, or they might influence policy. So crime rates, education rates are influencing the decisions that the government are made in terms of a perceived problem within society, gaps in achievement, for example. So as a result, it's not made specifically for sociological research. And also any data collected or any definitions that the state may use might vary, or it might not be of use to a sociologist. Secondly, statistics are collected at regular intervals. They show patterns and trends over time, for example, unemployment rates. Now, there is a problem with this because often the state or the government who collect these statistics may change the definitions. So that means that comparisons cannot easily be made. For example, the official statistic of unemployment and the definition of unemployment changed over 30 times during the 1980s and 90s. So this is not helpful to a sociologist who might be tracking trends and correlating that with other social factors. So a third advantage may be that they are reliable. Due to being collected in a standardised way, they follow a set procedure. Now, however, errors in data collection, now what that means is that people are paid to record the data may input it incorrectly. Likewise, members of the public may fill in the form, e.g. like the census, incorrectly. So this means that the data isn't as accurate as we would have liked it to be. So my final strength that you could refer to is due to a large sample, and I've put normally, they are representative. For example, hard statistics such as birth rates or death rates are based on that compulsory registration. However, not all are collected that way. So soft statistics such as crime or domestic violence are the result of reporting by a victim or a witness and recording by the police. However, not all crimes or domestic violence is reported or recorded, and this means there is a dark figure of crime, and this results in them lacking validity. And finally, the question did mention sociologists. So to ensure that you're linked to theoretical perspectives, you could refer to, firstly, a positivist. They see statistics as a reliable source of information. They see them as fact, or a social fact, a true objective measure of behaviour. Interpretivists, on the other hand, see them as a social construct representing the labels that people have attached to their behaviour. And Marxists see official statistics benefiting capitalism as part of a ruling class ideology. So massive thank you for watching. If you have found it useful, click that like, share it and subscribe.